Hello my friends, my name is Mr. Fox and welcome to this video. Before starting the video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Let's start the video. Koala, Phascolarctos cinereus, also called koala bear, tree-dwelling marsupial of coastal eastern and southern Australia, classified in the family Phascolarctidae, suborder Vombatiformes. The koala is about 60 to 85 centimeters, 24 to 33 inches, long and weighs up to 14 kilograms, 31 pounds, in the southern part of its range, Victoria and South Australia, but only about half that in subtropical Queensland to the north. Virtually tailless, the body is stout and gray, with a pale yellow or cream-colored chest and mottling on the rump. The broad face has a wide, rounded, leathery nose, small yellow eyes, and big fluffy ears. The feet are strong and clawed. The two inner digits of the front feet and the innermost digit of the hind feet are opposable for grasping. Because of the animal's superficial resemblance to a small bear, the koala is sometimes called, albeit erroneously, the koala bear. The koala feeds very selectively on the leaves of certain eucalyptus trees. Generally solitary, individuals move within a home range of more than a dozen trees, one of which is favored over the others. If koalas become too numerous in a restricted area, they defoliate preferred food trees and, unable to subsist on even closely related species, decline rapidly. To aid in digesting as much as 1.3 kilograms, 3 pounds, of leaves daily, the koala has an intestinal pouch, cecum, about 2 meters, 7 feet, long, where symbiotic bacteria degrade the tannins and other toxic and complex substances abundant in eucalyptus. This diet is relatively poor in nutrients and provides the koala little spare energy, so the animal spends long hours simply sitting or sleeping in tree forks, exposed to the elements, but insulated by thick fur. Although placid most of the time, koalas produce loud, hollow grunts. The koala is the only member of the family Phascolarctidae. Unlike those of other arboreal marsupials, its pouch opens rearward. Births are single, occurring after a gestation of 34 to 36 days. The youngster, called a joey, first puts its head out of the pouch at about 5 months of age. For up to 6 weeks it is weaned on a soupy pre-digested eucalyptus called pap that is lapped directly from the mother's anus. Pap is derived from the cecum. After weaning, the joey emerges completely from the pouch and clings to the mother's back until it is nearly a year old. A koala can live to about 15 years of age in the wild, somewhat longer in captivity. Studies suggest that there are 5 distinct populations of koalas, which began to diverge from one another sometime between 300,000 and 430,000 years ago. Formerly killed in huge numbers for their fur, especially during the 1920s and 30s, koalas dwindled in number from several million to a few hundred thousand, which substantially reduced the species' genetic diversity and that of 4 of the 5 individual populations, making the species susceptible to inbreeding. In the southern part of their range, koalas became practically extinct, except for a single genetically diverse population in Gippsland, Victoria. Some were translocated onto small offshore islands, especially Phillip Island, where they did so well that these koalas were used to restock much of the original range in Victoria and southern New South Wales. During the same period, some koalas were also introduced to Kangaroo Island, and later, during the 1950s and 60s, additional animals were introduced to several other coastal habitats in South Australia. Though once again widespread, koala populations and subpopulations are now scattered and separated by urban areas and farmland, which makes them locally vulnerable to extinction. Another problem is the infection of many populations with chlamydia, which makes the females infertile. The International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, IUCN, has listed the koala as a vulnerable species since 2016. The species decreased in number by nearly 28% between the years 1984 and 2012, largely because of habitat loss and fragmentation, which made the animal more susceptible to vehicle strikes and predation by dogs. Devastating drought and bushfires during the late 2010s also contributed to the decline in the number of koalas, reducing the total by an additional 30% between 2018 and 2021. As temperatures increase and the drying effects of climate change become more pronounced in Australia, wildlife officials expect that the number of koalas will decline further in the coming decades. Let's tell some facts about them. The name koala comes from an indigenous word. The name koala roots from the word gula from the Darug language of the indigenous Australians. The term translates to no water, referencing how koalas rarely drink water. The koala diet results from its species evolution. Koalas evolved in the dry, semi-arid environment of the Australian outback. Infrequent rains and a lack of deep rivers and other water sources made the species adapt to survive on minimal water. The koala's ability to get all or most of the water they need from eating eucalyptus leaves is a direct adaptation to their environment. Another adaptation to their limited access to water is their digestive system squeezing out all the water from their waste, which comes out as dry fecal pellets. Indigenous Australians had a clever method to hunt koalas with. To hunt koalas, the indigenous Australians would hang a loop of ropey bark at the end of a stick onto a tree, which they used to pull the koala down to the ground. The koala would then be killed with an axe or a club. Indigenous Australians have some taboos when it comes to hunting koalas. Some tribes consider it taboo to skin a koala. Another taboo is to bring a koala's head with you. Instead, they remove the koala's head and give it a proper burial. The rest of the body is then taken away by the hunters. Koalas get their water from eucalyptus leaves. With all the time koalas spend sleeping in trees, you'd wonder how they stay hydrated. However, koalas do occasionally come down for a drink. In the case of females, this is only when they can't get enough eucalyptus leaves to eat. On average, koalas eat up to 400 grams of eucalyptus leaves in a day, which is usually enough to supply them with all the water they need. However, males need more water. Thus, male koalas can actually be seen drinking from clean groundwater sources. A koala's diet also has disadvantages of its own. Eucalyptus leaves may be the main source of koalas' daily needs, but they also pose challenges that koalas had to adapt to. One of those is eucalyptus leaves' naturally high fiber content. As a result, the koala's teeth evolved to be specially designed to crush and break eucalyptus leaves as much as possible to digest them properly. Koalas are also known to regurgitate their stomach contents to chew them a second time. Koalas also developed a very specialized digestive system which can take up to 100 or even 200 hours to process a koala's food. This allows the koala to break down as much of the eucalyptus fibers as possible. Eucalyptus leaves also offer low nutrition and large amounts of poisonous eucalyptus oil. The koalas adapted to the eucalyptus low nutrition through developing a slow metabolism. Specifically, their metabolism is 50% lower compared to other mammals of the same size. This is also why koalas spend so much time asleep. As for the poisonous eucalyptus oil, unlike other animals, koalas evolved the ability to produce the chemical cytochrome P450. This gives their livers the ability to safely process eucalyptus oil, and keeps a koala from getting poisoned by their own food. Koalas are marsupials. They share this distinction with other Australian mammals like kangaroos and wallabies. Like all mammals, they give birth to live young, but unlike other mammals, young marsupials need to spend more time after getting born in their mother's pouch. There, they nurse their mother's milk for food and go around with their mother wherever they go. Koalas are born only after month-long pregnancy. From there, joeys will spend another 6 to 7 months in their mother's pouch. Baby koalas spend a few more months with their mother after leaving the pouch. Baby koalas typically spend another 5 to 6 months with their mothers, carried around on their mothers' backs. Usually, female koalas turn aggressive towards their young after they're born, forcing them to leave and fend for themselves. Definitely one of the harsher koala facts. Male koalas mark their territory. They have 2 ways of doing this. Male koalas exhibit the unique behavior of rubbing their chest against a tree, leaving his scent through an organ in his chest. The second method, of course, is a koala urinating on the tree to mark it as his territory. Female koalas mature sexually faster than male koalas. Female koalas can get pregnant as early as the age of 3. In contrast, male koalas aren't able to breed until they're 4 years old. Female koalas prefer to get pregnant in alternating years. That said, they're able to get pregnant once a year. Female koalas also known to get pregnant without following the alternating year rule that scientists have usually observed. Scientists believe that a koala chooses to get pregnant depending on other factors such as the availability of food. Koalas can live for over a decade. A koala's average lifespan is between 13 to 18 years. The primary cause of death is actually starvation, usually caused when koalas lost the ability to chew. This is unfortunately thanks to their diet of eucalyptus leaves. Despite their teeth specifically evolving to handle strong eucalyptus fibers, they still wear and break away from the effort over time. Scientists observe such dental degradation in koalas as young as 6 years old, and which continue until such time as a koala's teeth completely collapse. Unable to eat afterward, such toothless koalas then starve to death. Koalas have their own version of AIDS. It's even called the koala immune deficiency syndrome, KIDS, caused by the koala retrovirus, CoRV. Though its origin is currently unknown, KIDS has completely infected northern koala populations and is steadily spreading to the southern population. Definitely one of the more concerning koala facts. Koalas have always suffered from bushfires. Bushfires are a fairly common occurrence in the Australian outback, between the hot and dry climate, and the availability of fuel in the form of dry and dead plant life. For koalas, it's made even worse by the flammability of eucalyptus oil, found in large amounts in eucalyptus leaves. Since koalas tend to live among the leaves and branches of eucalyptus trees, they become more vulnerable to the hazards of a bushfire. What makes it worse is that koalas don't usually run in the face of a bushfire. Instead, their first instinct is to go higher up the tree, either dying when the tree collapses from the fire or succumbing to the smoke. I hope you enjoyed this video enough and it was informative. Please like the video and subscribe the channel. Introduce us to your friends. Good luck to you all.